Why you're hungry all the time on the carnivore diet.
I'm a pastor, an entrepreneur, a world traveler, and a martial artist. But most importantly, I'm a devoted husband and dad with an amazing family. And the older I get, the more I realize the importance of being healthy so that I can be all that I can and should for my family. I haven't always been healthy though. In fact, I've struggled with my weight for a lot of my life. But in recent years, I found some great success in my weight loss and fitness journey living a lower carbohydrate lifestyle, particularly that of the keto and carnivore variety. Follow me on my journey as I continue to explore and share the benefits of living the low-carb lifestyle.
All right, so you're eating steak, you're eating eggs, you've eliminated the carbohydrates, you're doing everything that you thought you were supposed to do. So then why are you still hungry? Isn't carnivore supposed to make you feel more full? Isn't one of the biggest benefits supposed to be the fact that fewer cravings and less obsession is supposed to take place? Well, in the short answer, yes. But if you're doing carnivore and you're constantly hungry, then don't assume that the diet isn't working. There's a good chance that you're making one of a handful of very common mistakes. And so today we're breaking down exactly why you're hungry all the time on the carnivore diet. And more importantly, what you can do about it. Hey there friends, if you're new here, my name is Jason and I help busy parents and professionals like you and like me simplify their health using the carnivore lifestyle and some metabolic strategies. And this topic is especially important for beginners because one of the fastest ways to quit carnivore is to spend your entire day feeling hungry. So before you decide carnivore doesn't work for you, let's go ahead and look at what's actually on your plate. Reason number one, you're simply not eating enough. So let's start with the obvious one. You may not be eating enough food. A lot of us come into carnivore carrying years of traditional dieting mentality with us, as in eat smaller portions, cut calories, ignore your hunger, eat as little as possible so that you can lose weight faster. And so someone starts carnivore and they start eating a couple eggs for breakfast, a small burger patty for lunch, maybe a 6-ounce steak for dinner, and then they wonder why they're standing in front of the refrigerator at 9 o'clock at night ready to eat everything in sight. Well, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out you're hungry, right? Especially when you're first transitioning, this may not be the time to aggressively restrict your food. You might find it wise that you give your body some time to adjust. Reason number two, your meat may be too lean. Right? Your meat may be too lean. And this is a big one. You can eat a tremendous amount of protein and still walk away from the table feeling like something is missing. Take a close look at what you're eating. Is everything extremely lean? Is it just chicken breast or very lean ground beef? Maybe super lean cuts of steak with every piece of fat trimmed off? Remember, when you're drastically reducing carbohydrates, you've removed what used to be a major source of energy from your diet. For many carnivore eaters, dietary fat becomes an important source of energy and satiety. And that's one main reason that I love to eat things like 80-20 ground beef and a lot of fattier cuts of steak like ribeye. I also love whole eggs, and I also like to use butter. If you tolerate dairy well, you might want to consider that too. You don't necessarily need to start pouring butter over everything you eat, but the point here is to not be afraid of the fat that's naturally coming with your food either. Reason number three, it might not actually be hunger. So this one takes some time to figure out. You need to ask yourself, am I hungry or do I just want to eat? Those are not always the same thing, right? Let's be honest. Sometimes you're just bored. Sometimes you're stressed. And sometimes you're watching television and your brain is kind of signaling itself saying, hey, this is usually the time that we snack, right? All of these are traditional reasons and triggers that could cause you to want to eat. Sometimes you're driving past your favorite restaurant and suddenly you're hungry, right? That's not necessarily physical hunger. Sometimes it's just habit. Sometimes it's just associating a good time, right? That's craving. That's years of conditioning. And one of the most interesting things about carnivore is that over time, you may begin recognizing the difference. So here's a simple test. If somebody put a plate of ground beef in front of you right now, would you eat it? If the answer is no, but you'd absolutely destroy a box of cookies, then again, you might not be as hungry as you think. Reason number four, you're forcing intermittent fasting too early. I'm a big believer in intermittent fasting. I do it. But I see beginners do this all the time where they start carnivore and immediately decide I'm also just going to go ahead and jump into OMAD or one meal a day, right? Or maybe, hey, I'm going to do a 20-hour fast, or I'm going to skip breakfast. I'm going to skip this meal and I'm only eating between noon and 4. You know, it all sounds good, but the question is why, right? You just completely changed your diet altogether. Give your body a minute, right? For some people, eating less frequently happens naturally after they've been carnivore for a while because their meals become more satiating, right? And that's very different from forcing yourself not to eat when you're legitimately hungry. If you're starving at 9 o'clock in the morning, then eat, right? You don't win a carnivore trophy for suffering until noon. Reason number 5, your activity level has changed. Now this one is actually easy to overlook. Maybe along with carnivore, you've started walking more. You started lifting weights, doing kettlebells like I like to do, right? Or maybe you're working a physically demanding job, or you're simply moving around a little bit more often because you feel better. In such a case, your body actually may legitimately need more fuel. Someone sitting at a desk all day and someone doing an intense workout, they're not necessarily going to have the same appetite, and rightfully so. So don't automatically interpret increased hunger as just something being wrong. Sometimes your body is simply asking for more because you're demanding more from it. Reason number 6, check your hydration and electrolytes, all right? I know, if you watch my videos, you've heard this before, but I gotta keep reminding you, right? Especially early on, dropping carbohydrates can change the way that your body holds and retains water, along with the things that come with it. And that means that hydration and electrolytes deserve more attention from you. Sometimes feeling a little bit off can get interpreted as hunger, and so before immediately reaching for more food, go ahead and check the basics, right? Have you had enough water today? Are you salting your food appropriately? And also, did you sleep well? Have you been resting well? Because appetite doesn't just exist in isolation. Your entire lifestyle affects it. And that's why I call this the carnivore lifestyle, not just a carnivore diet. Reason number 7, you're tired, stressed, or both. Have you ever noticed how much harder it is to control your appetite, say, after a terrible night's sleep? If so, welcome to the club, because that's not just you being weak, right? Sleep and stress can affect appetite and food choices. And so if you're constantly hungry on carnivore, don't only examine your food, examine your life as a whole. Again, how's your sleep? How's your stress levels? How's things going on in your life, right? How's your recovery? Sometimes the answer isn't another dietary hack. Sometimes you just need to lie down and go to bed. So what are some of the biggest shifts here, right? Well, you obviously want to learn what satiety actually feels like. And this may be the most important lesson. A lot of us have spent years eating according to the clock, or calories, or portion sizes, or snack schedules, right? Food cravings. Well, carnivore kind of gives you an opportunity to relearn something incredibly basic: hunger and fullness. So you want to eat when you're genuinely hungry. You want to eat a satisfying meal, and then you stop when you're comfortably full. And over time, you pay attention to what happens. Maybe you naturally move from 3 meals to 2. Maybe you stop snacking. Maybe breakfast is something that you'll have at a later time. But let those things happen because you're satisfied, not because you're trying to force them. What would I do if I was constantly hungry? Well, really, I'd keep it simple. If I were doing carnivore and constantly hungry, I'd really just go back to the basics, all right? For the next several days to a week or so, I'd really prioritize satisfying cuts of meat. Again, the fattier the better. I'd also eat whole eggs, not just the egg whites. I'd make sure that I wasn't unintentionally eating extremely lean. And then I'd also eat enough at meals to actually feel satisfied, right? I'd pay attention to hydration and electrolytes. I'd also prioritize rest and recovery. That means making sure that you get good sleep. And most importantly, I'd stop trying to win the diet. No extreme fasting, no starvation, no competition to see how little food I can survive on. No, just eat real food, enough of it. And you couple that with time and observance, and I'll tell you what, you can't help but win and see what's what. So if you're constantly hungry on the carnivore diet, that doesn't automatically mean that carnivore isn't working. And that's the biggest message that I have for you here. Your body may simply be telling you something. Maybe you need more food, maybe you need more rest, maybe you need more fat, maybe you're confusing cravings with hunger, maybe you're forcing fasting before you're even ready to start that, or maybe your lifestyle is demanding a little bit more fuel than you're giving it right now. In any case, listen to your body. Keep things simple and give yourself time to learn what true hunger and true satiety actually feel like. Because eventually you may find that one of the greatest freedoms that carnivore gives you is not having to think about food all day long anymore. All right, my friends, listen, that's it for me. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, make sure you hit the like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any more hot new carnivore content that I got coming down the pipe for you. Go ahead and comment hungry down below if you struggled with this on carnivore, and tell me what finally helped you feel satisfied while you're doing the carnivore diet. This is Jason Ligo with the Low Carb Lifestyle. I'll see you next time, my friends. Take care.